Thank you all so very much. I do have to clarify that thank you, Elizabeth, for your wonderful introduction. I do not do all of that by myself. I have the most extraordinary staff to work with, the great director, Philippe de Montebello, and an enormously important and supportive group of trustees. I confess today of a little nostalgia because I was one of the founders of this luncheon in the early 90s, and some of you are still here and doing that, and what a job you have done. We were in a small room at the University Club in the first year, and now what a success. There could be a lot of speculation for why I'm at this podium today, but I could give you one suggestion, and that is ArtTable was founded by a group of women around dining room tables, and I am one of 5 sisters, all of whom are here today. And I can tell you we have together sat around endless dining room tables in laughter and in sadness, and we have discussed everything under the sun, from the arts to politics, health, literature, parenting, travel destinations, hairstyles, and the general state of the world. There is no doubt that our bonds are steadfast. We had 2 parents who collectively and together told us without question that they expected us each to find a profession and to find lifestyles in which we would be happy. I think it's fair to say that we have done that in the fields of the arts, medicine, publishing, business, and real estate. If I look back to my education and see why I might speculate on standing here today, I went to a single-sex school through high school. The goals and criteria of the first school that I went to were very clear and stand out for me today: academic excellence, social justice, community service, and an active faith in God. They definitely shaped my behavior and my thinking, and I'm quite certain led me into the nonprofit sector. First in the field of education and the arts, and ultimately to the Met. Along the way, in college, through the study of world religions, I began to find my way into understanding world cultures. So what better way to continue this education than working in the most encyclopedic institution or art institution, arguably, in the world? I recall when I came back to New York in 1975 from Boston that the only place I wanted to work was the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I thought I was going to do it in arts education. I landed in the development office, and what you learn in development very quickly is to be a good development officer, you have to know your institution intimately, you have to be able to speak about it and write about it articulately, and you have to have a passion about it. And I certainly have found my passion there. I will always and continue to have the greatest respect for development professionals. Their responsibility is enormous. They work hard, and it is hard work. As all of them who are here today that I work with know, my mantra when I interview people is leave your ego at the door and come in and join the team, because no one person ever delivers a gift to an institution. It just doesn't work that way, and good development officers figure that out very quickly. It was 27 years before I became president, through which time I had the good fortune to marry, raise 2 children, with my husband being central to this, and served on a number of nonprofit boards during my children's upbringing, and made some of the most superb friends I could ever ask for in these activities. From my professional colleagues in other institutions in the city and the nation, many of whom are here today, I thank you. My staff at the museum, particular director Philippe de Montebello, and an extraordinary group of trustees, and a whole table. The ladies are here today, so thank you for all that you do. We get everything in the press, and the most recent story of the rambling and straying peacocks that you might have read in the paper defy the seriousness with which we do run the museum. We take our responsibilities seriously every day of the year. When I think of myself as a woman in this role, I have to be very honest with you and say that it has never been at the forefront of my thinking as I've gotten up in the morning and gone to work. I simply did what I had a passion about doing. I do, however, recollect very well in 1984, the day I was elected the first woman vice president of the museum. My first call was from Doris Devine in the depths of the building as our chief telephone operator. I went down and we had a nice cup of coffee together. And I realized at that time what an important glass ceiling it was to break within this bastion of male administrators, many of whom we loved and continue to be very wonderful. And in fact, Caroline, I'd like to thank you now so much for your earlier remarks and for your thoughtful comments on arts education, and to remind you, in case you forget, that one of those male administrators we shared together in Dick Doherty, one of the greatest of all time. And I remember sitting at my desk outside. I can't remember what you did, but it was something terrible, and he was furious. And you walked by my desk and said, how bad is it? And I said, serious doghouse. I don't know what you did, but it was so serious. And you went in and got royally screamed at, but we loved him. And in fact, if it weren't for Dick, who persuaded President then Bill McCumber that he really should take that leap and make a woman vice president, I'm not sure it had happened. But I can't take all that myself. It was a time of change, and the climate, thanks to many of you in this room today, have made it possible. Lila Harnett, Caroline Goldsmith, who was always a great friend and a founder of this organization, Linda Nochlin, Lowry Sims, so many of you here today paved the way. The cliches are legend, but of course they remain true. It's all a result of hard work, high standards of excellence, self-motivation, never complacent, taking risks all the time, having balance and perspective, and I think the most important is just being oneself. As I look ahead and try and identify and articulate my responsibilities, I think of them as follows: to be focused on the Met and its future, to take time for myself for reflection and renewal, and everybody here who knows me knows that I do not always get an A at this, but I'm working on it. My sisters collectively pick me up all the time, literally and figuratively, and remind me of this. To give back and serve the community, not only through the Met, but through in other ways in which I am able to, right now working with the World Trade Center Memorial Foundation to try and build that museum. And also to provide mentorship for colleagues coming up in the next generation and those in transition. I feel a real responsibility to this, and of course to be an advocate for women in these roles in any way that I can. The reality is that the challenges before us are extremely real. Just to remind you of a few that have been our face in the news in recent history, really recent weeks. The woman gondolier and her struggle in Venice. The cooks in Iraq, the ladies who are having very difficult times in their kitchens. The women's beauty salon, the two ladies in Afghanistan who are the subject of 1,000 Splendid Suns, the new book just out. The Italian Muslim 20-year-old, originally of Egyptian descent, who's just completed her book, Perhaps I Won't Kill Anyone Today. She remains and says that she will always be a hybrid, as if anybody trying to find their identity at that point in their life has an easy time. So I urge all of us to continue the dialogue. It's as invigorating as ever. It needs us to be involved, as Caroline said, in the arts, in education, in every way that we can continue to serve this civil society. ArtTable has always held its mission for us to be interpreters and intermediaries. It is as apt today as it was at ArtTable's founding 25 years ago. For myself, I often smile as I think on the words of Brooke Astor, longtime trustee of the Met and a wonderful friend and mentor to me. When she spoke about her childhood, she would often tell us that her mother told her, Brooke, never get ahead of yourself. It has become my guiding mantra. Thank you. Thank you.
We want now, thank you so much, Emily, for the inspiring remarks, and it's just our honor to honor you and to present you with this glorious award. Pretty strong. Well,
that concludes our program today. Have a good time. See you next year, and keep trying.
Thank you all so very much. I'm very, very touched.